So this is my $65,000 studio, and it's got cameras and all types of everything you could possibly need. I want to talk about, I got gear everywhere. So I want to share with you how this came. I don't even care about me. I want to share with you my podcast stuff. Look at this, sound voiceover booth, studio equipment. It took me, I'm 41, to be able to get this stuff because I anyway, so I want to compress this. My YouTube, we got 80 million views online. Play button. So I'm going to talk for a few minutes. If you watch this, then it's the right place and time, and what I will be talking about will be solid gold. But if you're not in this place and time, then you have already left this video. But I have to get these messages out into the ether because I dreamed of finding somebody like me. I'm setting this up so I can put my phone on it. Even though I have thousands of dollars of cameras, I'm just using my phone because the message is more important than the camera gear. I sound like I'm crazy ADD, but you just gotta trust me because I'm gonna speak to you. Okay, here goes. All right, I hope that stays. Okay. I'm in my pajamas right now around the house. It's Saturday. And you might be like, what's this guy doing in his pajamas? It's 12:45 p.m. There's so much to do. I'm very fascinated about reflecting on your life and your passions and your dreams and your career. And there's this default reality, depending on where you were born, what city, what your parents. You're born into people that are just trying to survive, and you're trying to survive. And then, by the time you're grown up enough to even get a job, you got to get a job immediately and start working to pitch in and pay bills. Most people are born to middle class or poor families. I was born very poor, but check this out. So I'll talk about me for a second here because it's not about, I don't care about me. I'm not trying to sit here and talk about myself. I'm just trying to relate. The only thing I found was cutting grass and landscaping. So I've done that for 20 years because you always need money and you're living hand to mouth. So you keep doing what's right in front of you. And if you're lucky enough to go to college to do something that you hope, like how many people get to live their dreams? I could have started the video right here at 3 minutes. How many people get to live their dream? And you have to know what your dream is. And if you look at a Bill Gates or an Adam Sandler, or you look at just different people who have done these things that they've become these, I guess, celebrity is a horrible word to use, but well known for what they do because they hit mastery levels. But there are people that can sing as good as Mariah Carey who never get discovered and never get noticed, and they're somewhere in Kansas singing in a karaoke bar. Just never happened. And even if they do get discovered, they needed to be discovered 27.5 years ago in the specific time, place, and city when the world was in a state of consciousness. Or you might be ahead of your time. I have a friend who's it's not just about entertainment and music. It could be business, art. It could be anything, right? It could be falling in love and meeting the love of your life and having a magnificent family and being the best father or mother in the world and raising an amazing family. And you have you can live listen to what I'm saying. You can live in a trailer park, but yet have the most beautiful family and be throwing a football back and forth and playing badminton, and everybody's watching movies and eating popcorn and sitting around reading stories and laughing and crying and that's success, right? That could be if you were to capsule space-time continuum into, because I just want to draw balance here, right? Show that I'm calibrated. if you put that in a little capsule, a little slice of in the space time of the ever unfolding, evolving universe of unlimited possibilities, that one little tiny bubble of the unlimiteds is, wow, this amazing family had the most amount of love and empathy and compassion and connection, that it was the most healthiest thing ever, even though they were poor. And that was ultimately a success that was every bit as great as the $4.8 billion in revenue of the cast of the Friends TV show. That was the second biggest sitcom ever, next to Simpsons. That like in the whole world saw it, and people still continue to watch it to this day. It creates $1 billion a year in revenue, and the show was 30 years ago. And the actors of Friends they all get like something absurd. What are they still getting? Like $20 million a year each from something that happened 30 years ago, because it was this monumentous success. But a healthy family that had the most, like, could be every bit as successful. It's just, what are you optimizing for? So with all that being said, I could talk about this stuff for 20 hours. I'm very sober. I'm in my pajamas. Listen to what I'm saying right now. You can live your dream. And it might not be at the level that you hoped it would be. Like, you might have dreamed of being a famous comedian or a singer, or having your art in galleries, or produce the biggest TV show. And it might not be a multi-million or billion-dollar thing. But you can experience the greatest level of joy and fulfillment and connection and empathy and love and a sense of oneness in your present waking moment of consciousness, moment by moment. And there's hard times, of course, there's sacrifice, but you can experience joy to the point of ecstasy. It's kind of, for lack of a better word, because you decided to, because the time for you is now. And by the very fact that you experience it, what I mean is, like, let's just random. You decide you want to start going biking. You want to get exercise and become physically fit like never before, and you go and you buy a cheap mountain bike for $200. And then you start riding a bike on the weekends. And then you start riding a bike a couple days a week in between everything else you got going on. Hear me out. Listen to me. And then it becomes this thing. And then you go get yourself like a nice $500, $600, $700 mountain bike, and you get really into it. And you notice while you're biking, you're experiencing joy and connection like you've never felt before. And now it's leaking into other areas of your life, because you're getting in shape, and your cardio, and your resting heart rate, and your breathing, and you just, all of a sudden, it's just start connecting for you, because it was something originally so deeply in your heart. You kept telling yourself, I want to start biking. I want to start mountain bike. I really want to, but you never do it. One day, it comes to a point where the pain of staying the same gets worse than the pain of changing. You'll change. So one day, it's called the tipping point. You just go get the damn mountain bike and you start biking. There's a lady who wanted to create like a studio environment, and she needed to order some furniture off Amazon and a place to like put her books. And every time she went to go do that, she got a huge mental block. And she couldn't do it. And the books kept sitting around. She never put together her like kind of webcam and studio environment so she could start making videos. And every time she tried, this went on for 1.5 years. And one time she was talking to somebody, and then they're like, well, what are the next steps to get your little podcast studio with the lighting and the microphone and your book set up on the bookshelf behind you? What is actually stopping you? What is the next step? She said, well, I got to get a bookshelf. And they're like, well, why don't you just go right now on this coaching call right now? I want you to go on Amazon and order the bookshelf, right? And she went to order the bookshelf, and she kept stopping. Hear me out. She kept stopping. And they're like, why do you keep stopping? Order the bookshelf. And then it finally dawned on her. She's like, wait, I've actually tried to order this bookshelf like 3 or 4 times. Why haven't you ordered the bookshelf? And she goes, because I need a measuring tape to make sure I have enough space between like the door and the window to put the bookshelf back there. And I don't know what size bookshelf to order because I don't have, I can't find my measuring tape. Like and then the coach or whoever on the phone was like holding her accountable, was like, well, why don't you go get a measuring tape? So she gets up and she's walking around. She can't find a measuring tape. And then he's like, wait a second. You can't find a measuring tape. She's like, wait, I've actually done this before. I've looked around and I couldn't find a measuring tape. And after a while, I gave up and then I get distracted over 100 million things pulling on me. And then I never ended up ordering the bookshelf. And then the coach goes, wait a second. The whole time you haven't had this whole podcast studio together and making the videos that you dream of making, all this stuff, and you haven't, because the books are sitting around and you didn't set up the bookshelf so you can get it going, right? All led back to the point because you didn't have a measuring tape because you couldn't find your measuring tape because you never had one or you lost one. And wait, you don't need a bookshelf and a podcast studio and all these things. You need a measuring tape. Go on Amazon right now and order a measuring tape. So the lady orders a measuring tape. Come back later. Boom. She gets the dimensions. Now she goes and orders the bookshelf, puts the books on the bookshelf, sets the podcast studio and the camera and the webcam, and boom, now she's making videos. So it's like that little tiny, there's a saying, like a little tiny 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 little metal cube, if you were to put it on the front of a railroad track, could stop an entire train, a locomotive train with a bunch of cars and everything, from moving forward, because it's the beginning phases of something is such a small creep to get it to go. It's like trickle, flow, flood. It's like just going a little bit, then a little bit, like just to get it to move forward a little bit. And if you just remove that 1 by 1 by 1 steel cube, it's like a toothpick holding a big, huge door open or closed or something. You just move that little toothpick, then all of a sudden, ta-da, it opens. And you got to identify those things. And the one thing that is more powerful than opportunity itself is the ability to recognize opportunity. And unfortunately, people that are trapped running on a rat wheel to pay their bills, they're stressed out, they're depressed, they got toxic family members and drama, a toxic food, toxic environment, toxic water, toxic skies, if you want to be a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but I'm just serious here. Toxic constant advertising and marketing and messaging bombarding us from different people's opinions and people stressed out in economy and politics and all this shit. Oh my God. And then you got to shit, shower, shave, eat, change, cook, clean, do your laundry, your dishes, you take care of your animals, take care of your kids, take care of your family, take care of family drama, there's so much going on that the years of your life are going by and you're never living your dream. So ask yourself the question, follow it upstream. I did this 20 years ago thinking about these questions. Why? And I know why. Because you need money. The thing that you want to do doesn't pay the bills. Yet. You might have always dreamed of starting your own landscaping business, right? So the question is, in this world, you need air, you need water, you need gravity, you need food, you need a roof over your head, right? You need the basic fundamental necessities. There's a few more than that. And the weirdest thing about this third rock from the sun that we live on in this part of space and time in this continuum, that this race of humans, we have this Roman civil law and public charitable trust and this administrative system where we happen to have this fiat currency thing called money. And I think even though it could have worked differently for some weird reason, if we just focus on the good part, it actually all works. It's a whole administrative system with policies and procedures, and I don't care about politics. I'm just saying, for the most part, this thing actually works. Because we can live in houses and drive cars and go to jobs, and we can literally just click stuff and it orders up at our doors, it shows up at our doorstep. We have so much freaking luxury and we have so much convenience. We've traded a lot of our rights for it, but we have the ability to live our dreams if you're living in a first world country. This is clear to me. So from the moment you see all these things and you start asking yourself, what is my dream? What would I really love to do? It could take another 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years before you actually wake up one day and you're full-time getting paid doing what you love to do. And if you look back, like I said earlier, like the cast of Friends, I mean, how old were they? In their early 20s? Some of these, like Jennifer Addison, Matt LeBlanc, and Chandler Bing, and you probably don't even know what I'm talking about unless you're at least 35. It's just happened to be, I'm kind of fascinated by how 120 very talented, smart people can come together and make a movie or a TV show. And they have to cast actors and scripts, and they got writers and film set and lighting and grips, and they get this moving ecosystem, but the whole thing is being funneled and fueled by lots and lots and lots and lots of money. But they're also hyper organized and attentional, and all these people, it's then they all come together. It's like, here's what I'm getting at. There are people who run multi-million-dollar businesses and companies, and they manage all these people, have all these different roles. You can't get your frickin' podcast off the ground? There are these people that run multi-hundred-million-dollar sitcom TV shows and do $200 million movies that become box office smash hits, the level of discipline and sacrifice it takes to do these things. And there's people who run nonprofit charity organizations that help orphaned kids and starving people in different countries, and create dental care for people in a third world country where they can't even see a dentist, and they fly down organizations of like dentists, and they go and they help people for free. That people are like, there's levels of organization where people can figure stuff out through leadership and through the clarity of their purpose. And you can't figure out how to get your YouTube channel started and off the ground, or how to start your side hustle. I don't want to cuss at you right now, but you need to wake up and smell the coffee and smell the roses and realize that you need to take your weakness. I got ADD like a mug. You can't tell. And somehow I figured out how to create over many years and put heartache and pain and suffering and sacrifice. Very hard to do. For me, I believe I should be way farther than I am. But I've built a $65,000 studio and got 80 million views online, and have 10 online courses and 4 published books, and $800,000 on my podcast that temporarily hit 37 on the entrepreneur category on iTunes. I've been a keynote speaker all over the country and have 22 different streams of income, and work with 21 different brands, and have 2 businesses, and have employees and payroll and all this stuff. And all this stuff, I never wanted to take on all this responsibility. I just wanted to be. When I was younger, I wanted to be a famous singer. I couldn't even watch a movie without being, that was supposed to be me. I was supposed to be a famous actor. Like, and I asked myself deep questions. The only reason I wanted that is because I felt so, this is important in finding your purpose. I felt so invalidated and invisible as a child and as a kid, and so ignored, and I felt abandoned and unloved and unlistened to and never heard, when I thought I had so much love to offer and give, and nobody would listen to me. That I just dreamed of being significant. I believed I had so much value to give and offer to people, and nobody cared. So I started a YouTube channel, and it was finally a place where I could talk without the other person on the other side. And this might be you, interrupting you and talking over you, invalidating you, and telling you, basically, they don't care about anything of what you're saying. They don't care about your ideas, and they just want to waiting for their turn to talk. So you can just never be heard or understood. And I'm telling you, like, I just want to be significant. But one day when you have put in all the work and you've had your heart broken many times, and you realize that nobody cares about you. They don't care about how much money you're making. They don't care about how many views you have. If you do create a podcast or a video or a show, or you create some business that makes you, it's 1 p.m. Saturday, $1 million, Nobody cares. All people care about is how you make them feel and how you treat them and how much value and what you give and what you provide to them. It's a very selfish thing. But if you finally... there's another thing I wanted to say. That 1 p.m. sirens are going off, the test alarms, every 1 p.m. Saturday. So listen, here's what I want to say. There's this very, very unique time where you crest in your consciousness and you become fully aware and online. And it's like a magical time in your life. And it could be a 2 to 3 year period, it could be a 5, it could be a 10-year period. Some people can do it for 20 years. I believe you should have a 2 to 3 year period where you become most respectfully and kindly and communicatively completely selfish, where you become obsessed with your goals and dreams and what you're doing. You don't ever take advantage or hurt or walk on or step on other people, but you might have to step away from people. Or, like, I can give you an example. My wife and I have been together for 14 years. We had our 12-year wedding anniversary. And I'm just going to be honest here. My wife was not happy if I was going to leave and go to a different state. Or travel around the country or something. Like, she basically just came with me. And then she got sick of coming with me. And now we're at a point in our marriage, this is kind of personal, where it's like, I'm like, honey, I'm going to this state to go shoot some interviews, or I got to go do a keynote speech in Texas or something. And she's just like, all right, I love you, everything. Like, of course, I love and cuddle with my wife, and we eat dinner together, and I pack my stuff, and I make sure I book my flight to get back as soon as possible, and I'm missing her the whole time I'm gone, and I'm video chatting and calling her. But my wife supports my dreams because I love her and I support her dreams. But people, here's another thing. People who even love you are supposed to love you. You're going to feel like those people the most don't love or care or support your dreams. My own father, till today, I've been doing this shit for 10 years. He has no idea what I do. He's aware that I make videos, but he doesn't even understand what I do or how I make money. And this sounds kind of like odd, but it's because he doesn't even care. And that's just not good or bad or right or wrong. It's just relative. So you have to accept the fact that there's people that don't understand your dream, that love you, and they can't help it. They just don't care. Here's a prime example. When you go to like Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner and you're around your family, or you see family members or in-laws or somebody's fiance or aunt or uncle, or you can have family members at family get-togethers that you love these people and you've known them for, with their in-laws, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, or your family, and yet it's never even so much as maybe occurred, but not interested to you. Like, what do you actually do for a living? Like, Aunt Martha? So you're like a nurse. Tell me all about what it's like to be a nurse and what do you do? Or Uncle Bob, you're an engineer. So you work in a steel factory and you're a consultant and you do all these things. Like, tell me all about it. That's amazing. You don't even think about any of that shit because you're so selfish. You just see as Uncle Bob and Aunt Martha, and you just know them for who they actually are as a family member and how much you love them or whatever, and you just see them for them. But you don't even think about like the struggles they're going through, and they're like, because you're just thinking about your own shit in this own, I guess, inherently selfish type of way. And so if the reason I'm saying this is because the shoe is on the other foot thinking about this, if ever you think because you have these hopes and dreams, I'm just making this up, they become like have some big hit podcast show where you got like these big deal people on your show and it's making, $100,000 a month and your dreams are all coming true. When you go around your family, they might think that's, oh, congratulations, I heard you're becoming a big star now and you got a big podcaster thing, and it's like, wow, good for you. So anyways, that turkey looks good. Like, they just see you. They don't care. So if you expect to get more acknowledgement or accolades, or you expect these people to love you more, or you're going to get some type of like a pat on the back or an attaboy, nobody cares. And if you become really successful, some people are going to be asking you for money. Some people might turn on you. So you have to, this is a very important distinction. When I said you have to become completely obsessed with your dream, it's where it leaks into all the other boundaries in your life. And it's all about from the second you wake up to the second you go to bed, even while you're dreaming, it's your dream. Right? And you could be called a selfish asshole who's just so self-absorbed and obsessed with your dream. But in order to get the momentum to build the neural networks and align everything, to do it, it's very hard to just completely unplug and lay around and watch TV when you've got a dream to fulfill. That doesn't come until later on. This is what I mean. It takes 100% of the momentum and like 80% of the fuel to get a rocket off the ground into the sky, or to get like a plane off the ground. It takes so much escape velocity momentum. You've heard of stuff like this. It takes everything you have to get the plane off the ground. You got to work double overtime, 100 hours a week. You have to be freaking obsessed. And then only after, when that thing is fully established and the plane gets through the clouds and out of the turbulence, or the rocket hits escape velocity, and then all of a sudden it goes, boom, and then it's just quiet. Then when the thing is fully established and the right people are in place and your show is pumping, your nervous system will tell you, whoa, okay, I've put in all this hard work for like 6 years straight. We've got this thing established and it's working. And now you're going to have to go to like, I had to go to Keith 2.0, which is you have to put some structure and boundaries in here. Like, whoa, if I keep working like this is gold right now. Trust me. Because I've been through this for real. I'm talking firsthand experience. If I keep working like this, I've got this thing going now. It's going to work. It's not going to fall apart. I've got it. It's established. It's bringing in money. The thing is working. The business is working. If I don't start scheduling in some family time, or I don't open up my calendar at the beginning of the year and say, all right, we're going to take 4 vacations this year. It could just be a staycation. It could be a little getaway. If I don't take Sundays, no videos on Sundays, or I don't make Sunday family day or the day with the Lord, whatever you believe. Like, I love to read the Bible. If you don't, actually I didn't always love to read the Bible, but I do now, and I'm glad to be here. But anyways, if you don't make time for the things in your life and the people that really matter, that will be by your deathbed, you will get confused about what your real priorities are and why you're really doing this. And then the people at work and the brand deals you're trying to get and all the success you're trying to get will become so important, it'll start to blur the lines between what's really important. But for a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 year period, or even however long it takes you to get yourself to that, past that escape velocity to where now everything is, you have to now go revisit and install new levels of structure, or you'll just be running like a 10 speed in first gear, or a 21 speed, pedaling your tail off and not getting anywhere to the next level. It's because now you need to recalibrate and say, wow, we've got some success here. Now I need to start taking a breath. And one of the most important things, I was part of this, I watched this very expensive Accelerate High Growth business training back in the day. There's all these millionaires attended it. It was like, they said one of the most important things you can do as a very successful entrepreneur is schedule time to completely unplug and relax and spend entire days where you go like, you go get like a manicure and get your hair cut and get a massage and like sit in a jacuzzi and lay around reading books and sleeping and like lay in the sun and ride bikes and watch movies, to the point where you just like spend an hour relaxing, but I'm talking you can spend an entire 1, 2, or 3 or 4 days relaxing, to where your nervous system goes and your amygdala resets, your vagus nerve or whatever resets, and you go, oh, because if you don't feel safe and give yourself a chance to breathe, it'll weigh on everything else in your life. And then the very dream, the goose that lays the golden eggs, that you've given everything to create this dream, right, will start to fall apart, because now you're doing it out of survival. It's like you running for fear for your life into survival can get you really successful, but it can also make you climb a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. So that's why that was good. Every time I got a speech coming up, I'm speaking on stage, and I want to put that in my notes. I'm speaking about grit. KeithKalfas.com/events is anywhere I'll be around the country. So now you have to stop at different steps of the ladder and revisit your strategy. If you feel too much stress, it's because something's wrong with your strategy, and you got to be like, wait a second. Let me look at this again from a different angle. Is this the direction I really wanted to go, or am I doing this just out of fear, right? You got to get more clarity and intention. And you can get to a point where I realized I was running for 20 years out of fear. And I finally got to the point where my bills are paid and I got some money in the bank and I can actually like take a freaking actual weekend off. I became terrified because I realized, wait a second, I've been running out of fear, like more than incentive motivation. And Tony Robbins says, like, this is what I could tie all this back to. If you can get yourself into a peak state of pure motivation and inspiration and consciousness, go all the way back to the beginning of this talk where you're like, boom, I'm living my dream now. Even if I'm broke and all I have is this little camera or my phone and I'm making these videos, the very intention and presence and consciousness in your dream is so real to you, despite what anybody else thinks. I don't care if you're walking around in public videotaping yourself. If you believe so much in what you're doing and the message that you have, and it's so real to you that you're fully present and online and conscious with it, when you get into what we call the flow state, I was on the phone with my friend Hatch yesterday talking about this creative genius. The flow state, to me, I've never heard anybody else say this, stops space and time. I'm sorry, it takes you outside of space and time. It's like a wormhole. When you get into a complete flow state where you're just lost in it, that's the happiest place I ever become, is flow state. When you're in flow state and you can get yourself into flow state, and there's an onboarding ramp to get into it, right? That's when you're truly living, but that's when other people that perceive you or your art or what you do as like, wow, how are they doing that? How is Jordan dunking the ball like that? I get this friend David Carroll from Dope Marketing. We just did an interview with him. It's coming out on my YouTube channel soon. Keith Kalfas. Keith-Kalfas is the YouTube channel. And David Carroll's he's building a multi-deca-million-dollar business, and when you're around him, he's in flow state. He is so in love with what he does that it's just second nature to him, and you'll be like, how is he doing it? It's because he's found his calling. He's in flow state. And when you're in flow state, the moment informs you what's required to do next. Of course, you have tons of planning and preparing. Like I said, the show Friends, they had like 14 script writers scripting and filming, and all these people like all over. It was a beautiful manifestation, but it was highly organized and planned and backed by a lot of money to do something like this. And they do this every day. But while you're in the moment, if you get, like, I'm sure the cameramen and the actors and the script, they're in flow state. They're all, and the one thing that can get you in flow state is I've learned, listen to this. I've been doing music and editing and producing and filming and lighting and videography and public speaking and podcasting for so long now, and studying obsessively, that now I can literally do a voiceover script. If I have a script to do we just filmed a commercial a couple days ago, and I'm doing voiceovers for some of my own stuff now, because I instead of hiring a voiceover actor that's really good, I have voiceover actors that I hire. I can literally voice over something good enough first try. Like I'm not even going to do a voiceover right now, but I can do it first try because I'm not tooting my own horn because I'm not that good, but I'm saying you do something so much where it hits automaticity, and if there's different levels, lines, levels, states, and stages of consciousness, if you study Ken Wilber's Cosmic Consciousness, you can hit like level 7, 8, 9, and peak and hit level 10 mastery in your ability to communicate. I'm not there yet, but I dream to be. Or in your ability to do business or finances. So there's these key fundamental things, back to what I said about the most important things you need: food and shelter. If you get really good at sales and marketing and structuring and locking down deals and understanding how contracts work and serving people and having integrity and honesty, and then constantly creating offers to secure money in exchange for providing goods and services or whatever you do, and it's completely legal, moral, ethical, and what is it? Good for you, good for the people involved, good for the world at large, good for the cosmos. Egocentric, ethnocentric, world-centric, cosmic-centric. Well, that's a weird thing about business. It's a first stage exchange, which is, it's very adversarial. So when I say cosmic-centric, I might be wrong with that. Because there's the next thing I was going to say is you might become level 10 at business, but you're freaking level 1 in your spirituality and you suck and you're not in which I believe to be the undeniable truth. So when I say it, I speak it from truth. Like if you're not right with Christ, it doesn't matter how much stuff that you do. And like could create a whole argument that I'm not trying to argue with. But I'm learning when I just want to insert this real quick. I used to be fascinated. Basically, when I jumped over the bar 100% completely, and I was never on the fence in my belief, but I was lukewarm in my faith and my action of believing in Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit. Like, how can I say this simply, succinctly? When you throw your heart over the bar and you just choose 100% to believe in this God that you can't believe or see and there's not proof, when you say, I'm going to believe it anyways just because I choose to, boom, all of a sudden all the evidence appears all around you and it becomes this belief system that serves you in such a high way that it's like, whoa. You'll see it when you believe it. You have to believe it first and then you'll see it. That's how all this, I don't want to say fruit. That's not it because I'm not doing it for the fruit. But that's how all of these things are coming together in my life is because now my faith and my belief is so stronger, so much stronger. So this, if you take everything I'm saying and you go all the way upstream to the top, what is your faith and what do you believe in? What do you stand for? Because if you know why you're doing something and you know what you stand for and your hunger is strong enough, everything else will figure itself out. You will make sure you appropriate the right opportunities and times and people and places and they'll just appear. Because the one thing that you cannot deny is your commitment. When you are fully committed to your business, and you're 100%, people see it all over you. They can see it. You will attract the right employees and they will stay and want to work for you, and your customers and clients will see it and they'll respect that and they'll appreciate it and they'll pay you more and keep you longer and retain you. When you're committed in your marriage, it shows. When you are committed to something, it shows. So don't think that all of your hard work is going unnoticed. And don't think that your laziness is going unnoticed. And don't think that your slothfulness or your greed or your insincerity or your selfishness or if you're a taker, don't think that doesn't go noticed. So you have to understand that in this pursuit of your dream and of joy and of happiness and all these things, if at any time Zig Ziglar stood on stage, he said, if at any time I would have had to sacrifice my integrity, and his morals and his faith, or put anything before his family, he would have never done it. He says, I stand on stage before you today and I've become famous and a multimillionaire and I've written all these books and I speak all over and I'm this highly sought after, very successful person. He says that if at any time I would have had to break my integrity and put this before God or my family, no question, I wouldn't have done it. And when I heard that, I was like, wow. So you still can. I think it's the only way to become truly successful. Because if you become very successful and yet you got people that behind your back, your own friends and family and people work for you saying, oh, I can't stand that person. They're a bastard. They're a bully. They're neurotic. They scream until they get what they want, or they treat people like shit so they can get what they want. It's like, you're not successful. You're lukewarm. And in the end, it's between you and God anyways. So here's what it is. Myron Golden said something amazing. The purpose of your life is to figure out God's purpose for your life so you can literally develop yourself for that purpose and build yourself for that purpose so you can live into that purpose and fulfill that purpose. That's the best thing you could possibly do. And you might have to go through steps like in a restaurant, start out, sweeping the floors and taking out the trash and cleaning the dishes. And then you work your way up to prep cook. And then you can get out and start busting some tables. And then you get to be a waiter. And then maybe you're in the back of the house, you get prep cooking to cooking. And then you get to now you get to be the manager of the back of the house. And then maybe for some reason you work your way to the front of the house and now you become the assistant night manager of the restaurant, then become the restaurant manager, then the general manager, but you started from the bottom, right? And now you understand all the internal and intricate components of how the restaurant works, but you started out washing dishes. Most people who just get into a high level position that haven't actually been in the trenches and been through the actual fire and flames have to be very conscious people about the level of respect, or they have to have very wise people around them who are very quick to reprimand them and correct them when they're wrong, very wise spiritual people. So you have to put your ego aside and be very careful about what you do, and realize that when these dreams do come alive in your life and you're living and walking them, you have to be highly respectful and honorable and appreciative, and never let your ego take over, and be very, very aware and conscious and grateful that you could not do it without the people around you, without your team, without your employees, without your clients, that this is a collaborative effort. And instead of you being on the top of this mountain or this pyramid, you feel like you're the one holding it all up. You lead from the front. You're the one, this whole thing's on your shoulders. And then as far as your level, how much you care. So you basically, you win by out-caring others. He who cares the most wins. You can out-carry your competition. When you care the most about your customers and clients, you care most about your listeners. When you care the most about your family, you care so much. But then you have healthy boundaries that you develop principles and rules and strategies and methods and doctrines that maxims. It's equity. You see through the eyes of equity, and now you know what to stress and what not to stress about. You can sense a problem and anticipate it way in advance and nip it in the bud before it even becomes a big problem, because you've been down that path before. And so it takes a lot and you can find out what it is by unplugging for a little bit here and there and getting total silence in your life. The answers will come. You might have to work 2-3 years, 4 years straight, 80 hours a week to save up some money in the bank, get some debt paid off or something, so you feel safe enough to actually relax so you can get that silence. And when the money comes, don't go blow it on stupid stuff right away and get yourself all stressed out. Say, no. This money finally came. Let's take a breath and go back to the drawing board. And let's really work this thing. Instead of taking the cookie and shoving it in your mouth, push it back and say, let's turn this into something great. I'm Keith Kalfas. Much blessings and honor and respect to you. If you like this talk, if you got all the way to the end, I want you to say in the comments below, if you made all the way to the end of this video, I have to know. Put in the comments below, let's turn this into something great. Let's turn this into something great. 6 words. If you're in a super hurry, just put the word great.